Well, g'day everyone. How's it going? Coming at you from the studio today, and in this video, I'm actually going to be interviewing or having a bit of a conversation with Tyler Edwards. Tyler has his own YouTube channel, and he is an incredible creator. And I think one of the reasons why I wanted to interview him on this channel is because he's kind of where I was maybe 2 or 3 years ago in terms of his journey on stepping out into full-time filmmaking. And I remember back when I was there, that first sort of year in full-time filmmaking and the journey of faith and taking the stepping out of a corporate office and corporate workspace. And I just remember what it was like, and I wanted to just go back, take a step back in time and find out exactly how he's feeling about it at the moment, first year in. And so yeah, Tyler, welcome. How's it going?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. This is I've been really stoked to finally have this Skype chat and just talk about kind of our journey to full-time filmmaking and like you said, I'm kind of 3-4 years in your past, so it's kind of a blast from the past for you, kind of looking back, like looking through your yearbook or something like that. So, but yeah, I'm really excited to have this conversation and just not only to just kind of talk about my journey and learn more about your journey, but hopefully this will be somewhat of an encouragement to other aspiring filmmakers that might be in a similar situation that I was in, that I'm in, and that you're in, Michael. And hopefully we can just kind of start a conversation just down in the comments and all that stuff of the journey that you've had, the journey that I've had, the journey that the viewers had. Less gear, techie stuff, but more of lifestyle, more of the business side of things, the more of, why we decided to do this, to leave our corporate jobs and pursue a career in filmmaking.
Yeah, awesome. Well, let's dive into that. Let's go a bit deeper with that. My first biggest question is, what motivated you to step out from your background as an accounts person? You're running a big account for a company, a corporate company. What was the sort of initial thought process and motivation that kind of caused you to go, hey, I want to step out into filmmaking and I'm going to leave my corporate job and I'm just going to pursue this thing? What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was really scary. Just personally, I'm not a big risk taker to begin with. And I was kind of raised up and I was kind of groomed to out of college, get the corporate job and do the grind. And I picked up a job at the biggest, probably the biggest manufacturing facility here in Charleston, but it wasn't worth it. And for a little over 7 years, it just became every day at work, I was thinking, I want to be making films. While I was at that corporate job, I met a fellow YouTuber, Justin Rhodes, really, really cool guy. He lives a couple hours away from me, and saw his stuff, and I ended up shooting a video for him and for a little training class or something, and that was the first big boy filmmaking job. And I did it for free because I was like, I'm not a filmmaker. I just was like, hey, I like doing this. And after I did that, I was like, man, that was really cool. That got me so invigorated. And the 4-hour drive or where it was home, I just had this giant smile on my face. Chelsea was like, I've never seen you like this before.
Wow, that's awesome.
But that was 3 or 4 years ago. And I was like, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But no, I'll stay with my corporate job because that's what you do. You stay in your corporate job and you
that pays the bills.
You pay the bills. You keep your head down and get your paycheck, and then do your thing. And it took me 7 years basically to decide to resign. And I decided to resign from my job the first day that I started at my job, looking at a spreadsheet, and I said, this is not for me. But I'm not a risk taker, so it took me 7 years to kind of get to that decision, and it's been the wildest ride since then. And right now I'm kind of in this phase of getting clients and trying to get into more branding and corporate work where I don't have a lot to show for it. So I'm going out to these small businesses and saying, hey, I do video. Can we work on something here? But that's where I'm still learning, and I'm booking weddings and stuff like that because I have work to show for it. But I'm kind of in this weird, like, growing my business, but doing weddings, and I enjoy it, but want to get into corporate branding and work like that, but still don't have enough work to show for it to get bigger clients. So it's kind of this weird. I'm sure you know exactly where I'm at
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for sharing that. I think a few quick questions for you just on that. I mean, have you still got food on the table? I
Yeah,
reckon you
yeah,
have.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you still got the car in the garage that you can drive to shoots and fuel in the tank? You're still making payments on your rent and your mortgage. Well, I am. So, but all those fears that you have, leading into, making these decisions about where you're going to spend the majority of your time. Certainly for me, it was a big step, but it was like, no, I actually want to be spending the majority of my time on creative work. And that was a big motivation, for that. But I guess off the back of that, in terms of how you managed to, get your first client maybe, or how you managed to get a bit of work on a portfolio so you could show something to a client. How was that for you?
Yeah, I mean it happened through networking for me. One of my good friends, she's a wedding photographer and she's very successful in the industry here. She was doing an engagement session for a couple, and the couple was looking for a videographer, and they asked her, "Hey, do you know any videographers?" And she said, "My good friend has just started his videography business and would be stoked to do your wedding. Would you be interested if he came to the engagement session and just did video like he would do at your wedding, kind of like, his style of shooting?" And they're like, "Yeah, whatever, that's cool." And I did it, and I sent them the video, and they responded immediately, like, "Hey, we want you to do this. We want you to film our wedding." And when I got that feedback immediately, I was like, okay, someone liked my work. Like, that's super cool. I mean, it's kind of like when you get the thumbs up on a YouTube video, or you get a new subscription come through, and it's validating to something that say, okay, well, maybe I can do this. Now that I've quit, I mean, my wife tells me all the time that I'm a happier person. Like, she's like, "I wish you'd have done this like 5 years ago, because I was a miserable person. Like, I was depressed. I hated getting up to work, and that's not somewhere I wanted to be for the rest of my life. And even if this filmmaking doesn't work out, I at least I can get to the end of my day and say I tried it. And if you're watching this and you decide to leave your corporate job to do this, coming from the finance background, there needs to be some sort of plan or backing behind it, or rational way to kind of set back on, whether it's savings or whatever. Or, I mean, if you can move in with your friend and live on their couch, or some way to know that, like, you can, go 3-4 months potentially without making income. Because, right now, this is a slow time of the year, especially for weddings, and it's just now starting to pick up. So the last 4 months was me not really making much money. So, definitely, I think that's important to talk about, because a lot of people will say, "Oh yeah, quit your job, do it." But I mean, there is some bit of rationality you need to have. Unless you're making enough money already with your current work, then obviously that wasn't my case. My case was I needed to get out because I was a miserable person and I just couldn't do another day at it. but we had a plan in place to kind of make it work.
I guess I'm a little more radical than that, because I sort of tend to say, do it now. Like, if you have to downsize, sell your house, rent something smaller, like go all in. The sooner you do, the sooner you figure out, well, actually, I don't have food for next month. Oh, I better work out how to generate income, or do something to generate, some income for for next month or the month after. And then that, I feel like that sorts out your motivations pretty quickly about whether you really want to do creative work or whether you'd rather just do the grind, the 9 to 5 corporate thing, and die a little bit more inside every single day. But from you, I mean, you talked about it like it was a big grind, but I see that you'd rationalized it in your mind to be able to get up and go every day and to be able to be good at your job and please your employer and be good to your bosses. So in terms of us rationalizing something that actually in the end they've said that working a job that you're not passionate about actually makes you sick. The stress of it and the if you prolonged exposure to it actually makes you sick and depressed, and it gives you health problems, and it gives you gut problems, and it gives you psychological problems. So, but we can rationalize it, and I certainly did as well. For 10 years I rationalized that. And I think for my viewers, I think the great thing about Tyler's story is that if you're identifying with any of those things that he's mentioned, and even you might be in your job and you might be going really well with it and you might be happy with elements of it, but then there's just this niggling thing in the back of your mind saying, this is not me. I don't want this in 10 years time. I don't want this in 20 years time. Well, I think you got to start to think about what can you do about that. And maybe it's starting a hobby that you're doing 1 or 2 nights a week, where you're setting aside time. And this is what I did when I first started my journey in creativity and production. I was always into music, but then when I started to shoot video, I set aside 2 nights a week where I would just read up, watch YouTube, I would look at different videos, I would start to network and sort of get in touch with people on Instagram and Facebook and just talk about video and what that looked like. And I sort of started to research what cameras I could buy and make little videos for friends. And the first one for me was when someone came to me and they said, we want you to shoot an engagement shoot for us. And I said, yeah, cool, no worries, I'll bring the camera. And they said, we want to pay you for that, and we want to give you $500. And I said, no, I don't want money. I'm not in this for money, because it was just a side hobby. It wasn't even a hustle at that point. Yeah. And when they said, no, we don't want you to do this without us being able to pay you, at least let us pay you $250. And when I agreed to that, it was almost like a doorway opened, to realizing, okay, my creativity is at a level now, photography and video is probably at a level now where I can begin to, ask people for small amounts of money to do, in order to produce creative work. And that's when the bigger picture of what Tyler's just described, of being in a job where I was like, I'm great. It's great. I'm, happy to a point. I can get up, I can do the work. But there was this niggling sense of like, no, this is not me, and it's not making me happy. And it's not that everything is all about happiness, but I realized, hey, there's more for me and there's more that I can do. But yeah, Tyler, thank you so much for your time, and I'm going to wrap it up here. Hopefully my viewers and subs, you got something out of this chat. And look, make sure you check out part 2. I'll put a link in the description below. Basically, that's where Tyler's going to interview me. It's going to be on his channel. And just a little bit about where I'm at now, 2 or 3 years, or I guess it's 4 years since I stepped out of my corporate job. So what Tyler's looking forward to and sort of journeying towards is where I'm kind of at the moment. And some things are in transition with my business as well at the moment. I'm looking to scale up my business pretty soon. And so Tyler's going to interview me in the next part. And so check out his channel, link below, and I'll link it above as well in the video. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.